Hello and welcome back to Pentor Cars, Cornish Car Collectors, where you join me for the first of our 3 features on our 3 V8s, which I shared in my previous video. Where to start then? Well, I thought we'd start with the Jag. And Jaguars have got such a following, particularly the XJ, that they can be driven by pretty much anyone. They can be driven by the wealthy. They can be driven by lovable rogues. They're Luxo barges for people who are looking for premium motoring on a budget. Even our Prime Minister and government officials don't look out of place when being chauffeured in a Jaguar XJ. These big Jaguars really have found a place in our heart, and the XJ Jaguar still impresses people today, old and young. In fact, I took this car into work the other day and a colleague of mine looked out the window and said, "Wow," and gave me a thumbs up. And that's crazy. This is a car you can buy for between £2,000 and £6,000. Anyway, in this video, we're going to take a look at the XJ, a little bit about the history of the car, the features on this particular car, and we'll take it for a drive. Plus, I'll be telling you my plan with this car. In fact, this is my last day with the Jaguar XJ, as I've got something happening with this car, which I'll share at the end of the video. It's exciting news, certainly for the channel, so please do stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and please do subscribe. Let's get started. There's been a Jaguar wearing the XJ badge since 1968. Well, up until 2019 at least, where it seems Jaguar have discontinued it. Now the XJ is Jaguar's premium, luxury, large, and it's very large, on the outside at least, saloon car. And it was built to compete with the likes of the Mercedes S-Class, the BMW 7 Series and the Audi A8. To me, the lower roofline of this car and the sleek body style really makes it stand out from the competition. Albeit, I do fancy that the lower roofline does make for slightly less room inside the cabin. It can feel a bit tight in a Jaguar XJ, but don't let that put you off. Inside this car is a really nice place to be. But we'll get to that. Right, before we take a look at my 3rd generation Jaguar XJ, let's go right back to the beginning, to 1968 and the Arthur Daly Jaguar XJ. The 1st generation car was in production for 24 years as the Series 1, the Series 2 and the Series 3. Available with either a straight 6-cylinder engine, the XJ6, with a combination of 2.8, 3.4 or 4.2 litre options at various points during the 24-year production, and a 12-cylinder 5.3 litre engine, the XJ12. They also came in short wheelbase and long wheelbase form. And from 1972, the Daimler mark was revived, with high specification XJs sold under the Daimler mark. I love the look of these early XJs, in particular the XJC, the coupe. What a pretty car. I believe it was only built from 1975 to 1978, and around 10,000 were produced and sold, with those surviving through to today being quite valuable cars, and rightly so. In 1986, the 2nd generation of the Jaguar XJ arrived, the more squared off, angular XJ40. I actually had one of these about 9 years ago. Mine was a high specification Jaguar XJ40 Sovereign, with the round lights as opposed to the square, albeit I believe it should have had the square lights, as these were reserved for the higher spec cars. Anyway, it was a really good car, a really great survivor, with minimal rust, because those XJ40s, they did suffer with the tin worm. In 1994, the curves were back with the launch of the Jaguar X300 XJ. A return to the quad headlights and sculpted bonnet, both of which are true trademarks of the XJ and would be commonplace in XJ design right up until 2010. This was the first XJ under Ford's ownership of Jaguar. And there are some signs of Ford's influence, particularly inside the car with some of the switchgear. The X300 is the last XJ to offer a V12 option. And in 1997, the X308 was launched with its V8 engine. It was in effect a facelift of the X300 car with some styling tweaks that modernised the car. I had an X308 XJ8 as well, and drove it once from Plymouth to Birmingham and back on 1 tank of fuel. It was my take on a Top Gear challenge, seeing as I was travelling to Birmingham to watch Top Gear live. Despite the fuel computer originally telling us that we would run out of fuel some 70 miles before arriving home, some gentle and considered driving meant we made it all the way up and back over 400 miles in that big cat. This is the third generation X350 XJ, and it was launched in 2003 and really was an evolution of the X300 and the X308 that went before. This was an all aluminium bodied XJ8, meaning the car was lighter and rigid. It was offered with the new V8 engine in 3.5 litre and 4.2 litre form. The X350 also came with a V6 3 litre and is the first XJ to be offered with a diesel engine, the Ford-derived 2.7 litre twin-turbo V6. Consistent with the X300 and the X308, a supercharged variant of the X350 was available in the XJR, producing over 400 horsepower. Air suspension was fitted at the front and the rear, providing adaptive damping as well as rear self-levelling with computer-controlled ride height and suspension mode. In 2007, a facelift was carried out on the X350. Codenamed the X358, it came with a different front grille, very nice but fake side air vents and a spoiler. And in 2010, the final XJ was launched. Well, the final one as it stands today. The X351 really was a break from tradition. Gone were the quad headlights and a sculpted bonnet. Sleek lights and a square grille gave the car a really aggressive look. And vertical rear lights really do break the XJ mould. 6 and 8 cylinder engines were once again available, as was a supercharged version and diesel. But the X351 was the first XJ to be available with a 4-cylinder 2 litre EcoBoost engine. The design and the engine options, ranging from 2 litre to 5 litres, was all intended to increase the appeal of the premium XJ. Sales for the X351 ceased in 2019, and plans for an all-electric XJ were axed. Who knows whether another XJ model lies in Jaguar Land Rover's future? I really hope so. I've got such a soft spot for the XJ. I love a big Jaguar. Being an SE, this car is fairly well equipped, but it is the Vanden Plas, Sovereign, Super V8 Portfolio and the Daimler Super 8 that are the range-topping and flagship models. As I said earlier, being inside a Jaguar XJ, well, it's a really nice place to be. It's luxury personified. In fact, you could be sat in a Jaguar XJ blindfolded and you know exactly where you are. Such is the distinctive feel of the car. Now I'm sat in these really comfortable and quite attractive cream leather seats. And you always know when you're in a luxury car when you have electric headrests. Very posh indeed. This car also has dual zone digital climate control, cruise control, auto headlights and wipers, a 6-disc CD stereo, a very nice analogue clock, Jaguar's trademark J-gate gearbox with 6 speeds and a sports option, and an electric glove box release. I would never get bored of that. As for the passengers in the rear, well, they have a really impressive centre armrest and rear passenger air controls and vents. The people that ride in the back of this car travel in real luxury. Do you know, I can't decide if I prefer the front or the rear design of this car. It is such a pretty thing, particularly here in this smart British racing green with those lovely 18-inch 8-spoke alloy wheels. It looks like it's gliding along at 100 miles an hour, just standing still. Also, consistent with the X300 and the X308, these rear lights are a real throwback to the Series 3. The Jaguar XJ has always had a big boot, well, a long boot. Look at that. In fact, here's my son modelling our old XJ40 boot, which was deeper than this X350, but still this car has a big boot. The car really is all bonnet and all boot, a proper old-fashioned 3-box saloon. The 3.5 litre V8 engine in this car produces 262 brake horsepower and takes just over 7 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour. Not bad for a car weighing over 1.6 tonnes. It really is a silky smooth car. You always have sufficient power for any situation and it's not delivered in an aggressive fashion. This really is a luxury motor. So it's time to take the Jaguar for a drive. But this, Well, it's a drive with a bit of a difference. You see, this car's actually going to a new owner today. I listed this car for sale a few weeks ago to see if there was someone else out there who wanted to take it on. You see, I've got lots of cars, probably too many, so I don't really see myself using the XJ. Now, I got quite a bit of interest in the advert, but there was one message that really caught my eye. A chap called Matthew got in contact and, well, he offered me a swap. Now, I've never swapped a car before. I've taken part exchanges, but never a like-for-like swap. So I wrote back to Matthew and asked him what he had. And he responded with details of one of my favourite ever cars, a car that's been on my bucket list for a long time. I could hardly contain my excitement, really, when we exchanged messages. Now, Matthew's car, it does need a bit of work, and this is an expensive car to maintain and to repair. So we met up the other day and we had a look at each other's cars and we agreed a deal. We agreed a swap. So today I'm taking this car over to Matthew. He lives out on Dartmoor, to drop this off to him, do all the paperwork and drive away my new car. What is it, I hear you say? Well, you have to wait to find out. Let's go. Our drive then in the XJ is here on Dartmoor, and it's a really nice day, so I'm hoping to stop and get a couple of nice pictures of the car before we pass it on to the new owner. Certainly are some picturesque roads up here that are brilliant to drive. And on the subject of driving the Jaguar, well, what's it like? You already know. It's effortless and smooth, but still engaging and fun. I mean, there is that V8 burble all of the time. It's subtle, but it is there, and it's certainly nice to hear. And, you know, when you push the fun pedal, this car's got more than enough get up and go, and that was without pushing the sport button. But you don't drive this car fast. You just sit here and drive and just let the miles accumulate. That's what a Jaguar XJ is all about. And as I sit here in this lovely seat, it's really comfortable, looking at this fantastic dashboard, the wood veneer and this trademark Jaguar horseshoe shaped dashboard, which is consistent with lots of Jaguars that went before this XJ, lots that came after, and all the cars made by Jaguar at this time, the X-Type, the S-Type and the XK. And as I look down over this long sculpted bonnet, well, I've said it already, this really is a nice place to be. You feel special when you drive a Jaguar XJ. You just sit here and you waft along in the car. It really is nice. I'm going to miss this Jaguar. I'm not sure I'm going to miss it for too long because the car I'm picking up is very exciting and I'm really looking forward to it, but I am going to miss this Jaguar. You see, to me, this is the last of the classic Jags. You can trace the design of this car, the lines of this car, right back to the late 60s. And that makes this really special. I'm sure the successor to this model, the X351, is a really good car, but it's lost some of its magic. So for me, it's the X300 or X308 and the X350 or the X358 every time. They really are great cars. I'm going to enjoy this last drive. Well, we're here and my new car is parked right over there. What is it? Well, I'm not going to reveal it straight away. And I'm not doing that because if you've seen my previous video, then you'll know that I'm bringing a new car onto the channel once we hit the 1,000 subscriber milestone. And we're close, 850. So I didn't expect it to be that car that I'd be bringing to the channel. I had another car in mind, and I'll probably get one of those at some point in the future, but that is a really impressive car. And as such, that's going to be the car that we bring to the channel once we hit the 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please make sure that you do so. And by the way, if you're watching this, then you'll be certainly interested to see that car and the progress we make about it. And it is a car that we need to progress because it's something of a project. So there's lots of work to do on that car. So I look forward to sharing what that car is and also the work that we need to do to bring it up to a good standard. It's certainly going to be a really interesting project, and I can't wait to feature it. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of our Jaguar XJ. If you did, please do click like, and do also leave me a comment about the XJ, about this video, or XJs in general. It'd be great to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe, because every subscriber counts and gets us that bit closer to me revealing that car. Thanks again so much for watching. I will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.